We're back with shooting competitor, trainer, and all-around great guy, Chip E. See? Did it. Yeah. All right.
All right, that means dinner's on me next time.
So, I'm going to talk about Chicago. And right now, Chicago is in all the headlines. People are constantly talking about Chicago because of the violence in Chicago. But more specifically, I mean, the violence is very, very centered in very specific areas in Chicago.
It is.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that it's just widespread, and it's not. Which I think, considering that it's so concentrated in a specific area, I think it speaks to a lack of something. Something is deliberately not happening in this area that I think may either be causing or facilitating the conditions that are causing the crime that's going on in Chicago. Or, I mean, what would your thoughts be on that?
A big part of it is the legacy of the former police superintendent, Gary McCarthy, who is Eddie Johnson's the new superintendent now.
Yeah.
He's a really good guy. He came up through the ranks. Rahm Emanuel, I just like to call him Rahm Failure. He brought in McCarthy. McCarthy didn't know anything about Chicago. He's from the East Coast, where he had 4 times the manpower that Chicago has. He didn't understand the city. He didn't do well by it, and then he sold the city out. A big part of policing is proactive community policing.
Yep.
Being out there, being seen, and if you see somebody that doesn't look right, and I'm not talking about racial profiling, I'm talking about criminal profiling.
Yeah.
We all know. I mean, whether you're black, white, yellow, whatever, you know what a criminal looks like.
Man,
proactive.
There have been plenty of times I've decided to cross the other side of the street when I saw somebody white. Plenty of times I was trying to see somebody black. There are a couple of women I didn't see that I crossed the street for. So, exactly. There's just an intuitive, instinctive nature to all of us, where we can kind of discern, okay, something's not right. And I'd rather err on the side of being wrong about it and living to tell, I'd rather err on the side of being wrong about my assumption and then continuing with my day, maybe causing some level of offense, maybe if it was overt. As opposed to, second guessing my intuitive nature and then finding myself in a pretty bad situation.
Or try to be politically correct instead of being correct for what your intuition tells you.
Which I don't want people to hear. That is a justification for profiling in a sense, in a more racial sense of the word, so to speak. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but so I was saying, so typically, probably when you and I were growing up, me growing up a lot before you, but, it was typical that the police, if they stop somebody, they saw somebody, they make what's called a contact card.
Yeah. And
basically they just say, hey, I had contact with this person. And it was for their benefit too. It was for the policeman's benefit and for the person they contact. So if they said, hey, this happened, they can go and look back. Yes, that officer did have contact with you. But the thing is, with those contact cards, that's proactive policing. Let's say we go by a corner where we know that there's a lot of drug action, okay? Yeah. We know there's a lot of crime going on, okay? And we see Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama standing at that corner, okay? So what we do is we make a contact card on them. We say, okay, Barack and Hillary were hanging out, and we get all their details, And so now next time, let's say Hillary goes and does something and we can't find her.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, well, she used to hang out with that Barack guy. Yeah. So that's part of it. Well, now the ACLU, they came in when McCarthy was there, and McCarthy just folded on them. And McCarthy went along with them putting in place a computerized system to avoid racial profiling. Now it requires 70 different fields. 70 different fields you have to fill out for a contact card, which used to be basically an index card.
Yeah.
You put down name, description, date of birth, whatever you had. So now, on average, it takes a police officer a half hour to 45 minutes, depending on their typing skills, to fill out one contact card. So on an 8-hour shift, how many contact cards do you think are coming into the system? And then on top of that, since Ferguson, you've heard of the Ferguson effect, and we've got cameras everywhere. A lot of police really are in the fetal position. They're not able to do the type of policing they need to. I mean, I've got a lot of friends with Chicago police, K9, SWAT, and they tell me as soon as they go to contact someone, or not alone or arrest, I mean, it's like you've got 20, 30 people around you with cameras, and you wonder, is this going to become a mob action?
Yeah, I mean,
so it's really difficult.
And I think for a lot of people, they think, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you shouldn't be concerned about cameras. Theoretically speaking, yeah. In a vacuum, yes. I guess that maybe that makes sense. But the way things, I mean, you could post something online and I can post something online. It'd be the same video and you'll get two different responses.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. But it's not just it's not just the aspect of the camera.
Yeah.
It's the aspect of, I mean, you got these people who feel like now, because they have a camera, now they somehow feel empowered.
Yeah, there's a.
It's like, I think people, you step.
Yeah, I think people fail to realize that sometimes when you're utilizing a camera, let's say you're recording a stop or you're seeing something, you're recording it. You're not the director on an action movie. It's a passive thing. And I think a lot of people try to use it as justification to harass. Right. And I think that's where the line gets crossed. I don't have any problem with people filming the jobs of police officers and the things that they're doing. But I've seen some videos where it's like you're just using the camera as an excuse to harass the cop from doing the job that he's doing. And that's when we start to have the issues that we have. And I think that's where we start to run into situations where cops are a little bit more are forced to kind of focus on dealing with people harassing them while they're trying to deal with something a little bit more important. Or some people actually getting in the way of a particular arrest or situation that's ongoing.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. Exactly. Yeah, because they suddenly think they become part of the media because they have a cell phone camera.
Yeah.
And like I said, and they start, and there's always that one person, who starts instigating and wants to talk loud, and this is my right. And then, like I said, it makes it dangerous for the police officer because it takes their attention away from their job.
Yeah, and I think I think everybody assumes that anybody with a camera is engaging in filming and recording for altruistic purposes. A lot of times, people are engaging in the world star effect. They just want to have something that makes it onto the mainstream media and then get famous off of it for 2 seconds. And like I said, I mean, if you're going to record. I don't have a problem with that. Just be honest with yourself about why you're recording and how you go about doing it. I think you should respect the job that a lot of officers are doing and that's vice versa. I've seen some cops who have been unnecessarily belligerent to some people who were recording off to the side, not really doing anything. So there's always that two-way street about it. But largely, go ahead.
I know. I want to touch on what you said about the world star effect.
Yeah.
That's a big problem, that whole world star effect. It used to be like, if I saw my friend fall, I'm going to help him up. Now if I see my friend fall, I got to whip out my camera. I got to make sure I get it on my Snapchat, my Facebook, my YouTube. And then if I have time, then I'll help him.
Then maybe I'll help you, right? And you're standing across the street. And it's like, what are you doing? All right. Now, what I don't want to do is disrespect the issue in Chicago and make it seem like we can come up with a conclusion or a solution to the issues of violence in certain parts of Chicago within the next 3 minutes. But off the top of your head, what do you think we could possibly begin to do, or some things that would help try to alleviate the violence that we are seeing in Chicago?
Well, some of the things we can do is we can get more officers out there.
Yeah.
We've got a big problem now. We've got a lot of police officers who are going to be retiring. We're not hiring enough police officers in Chicago. Like I said, we already have about a quarter of the size of the police force that New York has. Also, we need to get the police in the communities. Right now, Rahm Emanuel is more concerned about keeping downtown beautiful, keeping it safe. Well, that's great. I understand we've got to protect tourism, but he's ignoring the South Side, the West Side, where all this crime, just like you said, 90% of it. It's not happening downtown. 90% of the crime is not happening where the police are.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right.
And they know where this crime is happening. They need to be there.
The funny thing is a lot of people will shriek back when you say, oh, we want more police in the area. Because, I mean, there's just been this broad over vilification of police officers in this country. And they're like, oh, you want more police in this area? And I'm like, well, in the safest places in Chicago, there's an overt presence of police officers there, which is why it's probably as safe as it is. There's something to be said about having a police presence there to stop or to prevent, or as a preventative measure to whatever it is, crime, whether it be killings, gangs, whatever the case may be. But the idea of putting that same presence in the very places where we need them most, for some people, they have a problem with that. And it blows me away a little bit because I'm confused. I'm like, do you want to solve the problem? Do you want to stop the killing, or is this just political?
Yeah, No, you're right. But like I said, Eddie Johnson, the new superintendent, I've got a lot of faith in him. Like I said, because he is from the rank and file, and he's doing like one of the things he did is police officers when they have time off they can get overtime,
Gotcha.
and now he's saying that he's going to give preference to the guys for overtime who are within the district.
Gotcha.
So now you have people who are not just coming in there and screwing up a lot of the work that the officers in the district have done, and getting it to a community policing environment.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm hoping I'm going to share the same faith that you have for him, and because I mean, I don't like seeing it personally. I'm tired of seeing the violence in Chicago. I don't even live there, but I mean, hell, I think this should outrage everyone in this country, because what goes on in Chicago is a representation, whether we like it or not, of what goes on in this country. And I think it's doing an incredible disservice to not only people in those communities, because I think people forget that there are a ton of good people who live in these communities and are stuck in these communities for economic reasons and can't just leave. And to just kind of neglect it and just kind of let it be what it is, or it's just the one pimple on America. I think that's a problem. And I think there needs to be a more holistic approach in trying to figure out how to stop that problem. Without hyper-focusing on firearms all the time, which we've already demonstrated don't work.
Right. Absolutely.
But, yeah, man. But I mean, like I said, man, hopefully things will change. And until they do, we'll keep doing what we do. I definitely need to get out there to Chicago and hang with you.
We'll show you a good time.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, man. But it was good speaking with you, Chip, and I hope you come back and join us again.
I'm looking forward to it, Colion.
Absolutely.
Take care of him.
You have a good one. When we come back, Jen Jakes from BearingArms.com joins us live from the Great American Outdoors Show. Stay with us.